In this segment, Stephanie Miller and her guests talk Trump's latest cabinet picks. Stephanie?
Yeah, it's a clear break glass moment. It's 10 relative. There's never been someone as unqualified, no prosecutorial experience, no legal experience to speak of, but that's the least of it. Someone who comes to the department with actual contempt and hostility for it. It's going to prompt a major exodus. It's going to prompt judges and juries around the country to have less credibility in the DOJ, which is the really stock and trade of the DOJ. It will ultimately cause the public to have less. But I want to double back, Chris, to this HHS point and Tom Daschle. Everything about the ethics report, that is a red herring. Same with the irrelevant fact that the department didn't charge him beyond a reasonable doubt. How do you judge character? How do you judge conduct? By a background investigation, which I did for prospective judges, and I underwent twice. There are tens of thousands of professionals in the Department of Justice. None of them could be hired for their job if they did what Matt Gaetz is accused of doing. MDMA is a friggin' Schedule I controlled substance. Anyone who did that after law school would be absolutely disqualified.
I mean, interestingly, the attorney for the alleged victim of Matt Gaetz's sexual misconduct is asking for the release of the report. He said Mr. Gaetz's likely nomination as Attorney General is a perverse development in a truly dark series of events. He noted his client was a high school student and there were witnesses to Gaetz's alleged crime. Can you explain to me why Merrick Garland dropped these charges? I understand Joel Greenberg and the actual victim. But as you always say, you know, generally witnesses are not like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. They're the other people, you know, involved in whatever the perpetrator's involved in. So I don't get it, because his own girlfriend got him for, I think, witness tampering or something, implicated him, didn't she?
Yeah, I am no longer behind the curtain at DOJ. I was for decades, so I would have a firsthand understanding of the evidence and why it is DOJ dropped the charges. But, you know, what I do know, I dealt with lots and lots of really challenging witnesses over the years, even victims. You know, let me just analogize to domestic violence victims.
Yeah.
Sometimes they refuse to participate in the process that would result in them being protected from the abuser. Sometimes I had to fight with them, figuratively speaking, just to convince them to protect themselves. The same is true in sex trafficking cases when you have 16 and 17-year-old victims who sometimes refuse to participate with prosecutors. And if a victim won't ultimately get on the stand and tell the truth, well, then you can't use them to try to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Plus, the marquee cooperator, Joel Greenberg, was as ugly as a cooperator gets. And you can't put an untrustworthy cooperating witness on the stand. So it may be that the evidence just couldn't quite get to proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and they said, we can't do it.
Yeah. So in the now warning stack, John Bolton said, I don't think either Tulsi or Matt Gaetz ought to have a confirmation hearing until they both had full field FBI investigations. Shocker. Who's going to be in charge of the FBI, do we think?
Yeah, right.
Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He said, I think, given the Russian propaganda that she's espoused over the past period of time, I think she's a serious threat to our national security. I think Republican senators should reject both of them. He worked under this guy. Like, what illusions is he still living under that any of that's going to happen? I mean, Lindsey Graham, at first was skeptical of Matt Gaetz, and in 2 seconds, even for Lindsey Graham, said, he urged us, give Matt a chance. I mean, they know how unqualified he is beyond everything else, right?
Yeah, and Donald Trump will continue to overplay his hand, and he will force the senators. I mean, I think, Thune being designated as the majority leader is a good thing, because Rick Scott would have been the worst possible pick. I actually believe, and people are going to yell at me for continuing to be naive, that there are some senators who will refuse to endanger the lives of their own constituents with guys like Matt Gaetz and Kennedy. They're going to change the name of the Department of Health and Human Services to what? The Department of Brainworms and Bear Claws? I have no idea under Kennedy.